we made for Payday 3. Spoilers!
Hello! Yes, it's me in that video. And I'm under NDA, so I can't talk about more things than what I did in this video, but I can probably just get a longer version of some of my talk, because it was cut short to be interesting for everyone, and for more animation nerds I can of course talk about things a little bit deeper. So let's have a look at what we are sort of talking about: motion capture and keyframing. So keyframing is when you do keyframes. So here are the keys and each is on a frame. So that's why it's called keyframing. And you have to place these by hands if you're doing keyframing by hand, which we are doing on the first person weapons. And the other thing I talked about was mocap. So we're using Xsense, so it's a camera-less motion capture with sensors inside of the suit, and that gives you the base as I talk about. And that actually means that you don't have to spend time blocking and keyframing by hand. So you get something as a good starting point, and then you have to work with that as an animator. So it's nothing magic, it's just a tool, but it saves a lot of time, and it's much easier to get a realistic motion when you use motion capture. That's why it's called motion capture. You have probably seen performance capture. That's like Avatar, when they also have facial cameras, so, and they are acting. But for our games, we the animators are doing everything. So we don't, the voice actors are doing the voice acting, but we are doing all the motions, the animation team. So you probably saw some of the animators doing the motion capture. Here is the art team, so I will go back here again once I find the animations. So civilians, yeah, so the civilians are, as I said, like extras, so they're in the background and they are just doing things, so it feels like you are in New York or in that place. So they don't live their own lives, like they're just there to for the narrative and also for the tactical way you play the game, because as you know, you can use the civilians for human shields and negotiations and those sort of things. So you do want to make sure that you have civilians in places that fits the gameplay as well. And here I talk about not to overact, and yeah, and the fun thing is then I think they actually show some of the more overacting animations. So yeah, here we have some overacting, some drunk person, I suppose it is. So it's a balance, because I always say don't overact, but sometimes you want to have something in the background that is also a little bit silly and funny. So many of the animators, they want to exaggerate some of the animations just to make it more fun to look at. And I know that some people have been talking about like facial animations and expressions, and I'm pretty sure you have seen some facial animations and some expressions in earlier trailers. So then we talk about destruction and such, and yeah, so we can talk about the death animations. So we have different death animations. So in this example it's explosion deaths, and we also have deaths from like normal weapons. So in the system is for normal weapons. We have body parts, we have head, torso, arm and legs. So if you shoot someone in the head, it's a different hurt or a death animation than if you shoot them in the leg or in the arm. So that's sort of the cool thing, is that we have, depending on the body part you shoot them in, and then also how much damage it's causing. So if you shoot someone with a pistol, it's going to look different than if you shoot them with a shotgun. So it's a very advanced system actually for the hurts and the deaths. And then for the explosions, then it's not body part based, then it's a full body, of course, because you won't get just exploded in the foot. The explosion will always trigger sort of a full body explosion, and then it's based on of course the direction you're standing from the explosion, and also how far away you are from the actual grenade. So the closer you are from the grenade, the bigger the impact, and you will be thrown away much longer than if you were closer. So I'm pretty happy about the animation system for hurts and deaths. And it's a lot of animations, and it's a lot of animations for everything. So how locomotion and weapon works is that you need something called blend spaces. So you have each direction, and here is also where motion capture is just a tool, because you're still working with loops. So you have a forward walk and a forward run and a forward sprint, and then you have left and right as well for walk, jog and sprint, and then in the blend space you just blend to whatever speed you have or whatever direction you have. So that's sort of also the downside with the old blend space system, is that you don't have a nice super cool looking turn, which you could achieve if you had motion matching, which will probably be the future for third-person game. But in this game, which is actually a first-person game, the third-person animations will suffer a little bit. You might have seen the crouch, the player crouch walk or a jog. That is sort of, it needs to match the first-person camera height and the first-person camera speed. So it's really tough to make a super good looking version of that, and it also needs to be lower than the lowest objects, and you have to fit into vents and whatever you need to do. So it's the most hard thing is to make a good third person representation of a first person animation. And another example is a throw. When you throw something in first person, it's an instant throw, but in third person you would want to have more time for the throw, but you can't, since we have to mimic and do exactly what the first person animations are doing. And here I talk about like the weapon systems and such. So it's like we have IK for the hands, so even with mods and different sort of weapon within each weapon family, they will hold the weapon much better than what they did in Payday 2. So we have a much more future-proof system in Payday 3 than what we had in Payday 2. Yeah, I should probably shut up now. Thank you. Bye.